The racetrack is about to open. You still need some parts or maybe some tuning for your car. You've gone $30,000 over budget on your project. Your wife's about to divorce you. How in the world are you going to finish this car up?
Sponsorships.
It's funny how the world works sometimes. As my last video I made because YouTube suggested one of my old videos to me, making me remember to make a 3-year review video about my dyno. This morning I was taking a dump and I got a message on Instagram that reminded me to make this video you're watching now about sponsorships, because 99 out of 100 times you guys are going about this 110% exactly the wrong way, and it's painful to watch people make the same mistakes over and over again. Here's the message I received this morning. I apologize to whoever sent me this, as the intention is not to single you out and make you feel bad. I swear from the bottom of my heart, this is just to help you out, help all of you out, as I see the exact very wrong approach taken 10, 20 times per month, as do many others. There was more to this message, but this is enough to get the point across. Before you even look at the message to start dissecting all of the problems, we need to first address that you need to treat a sponsorship, even if you're only asking for a single individual spark plug, as if you were trying to get a sponsorship from the biggest company you can think of. You need to make it seem as professional as possible, so literally step number 1 is to never ask for a sponsorship by sending a DM, a PM, a BM, or anything else like that, and never just write some casual off the top of your head message. You 100% at the very least need to send an email with a proper proposal, which would typically be in a PDF format, but we will come back to this several times. Okay, back to the message. I noticed you have a handful of Holley HP EFI computers laying around. So problem number 1, I have exactly 0 HP ECUs laying around. He is referring to a video where I showed a couple, not a handful, of Terminator X ECUs. Maybe it's just a small detail to get that wrong, but my takeaway from this is either my video was just skimmed through and not actually watched, he didn't really pay attention, or he is unfamiliar with HP and a Terminator X ECUs. So if I'm going to sponsor somebody, I am expecting them to basically be a spokesperson for me, which means they need to know everything there is to know in the world and never get anything wrong ever. No, just kidding. But if you're gonna ask for a sponsorship, you really need to do your homework and know the company inside and out, and show that you spent the time to learn about the company. If you're not willing to spend the time to learn about this company on the front side, you're surely not going to spend the time after you receive all of your free stuff. I'm building a blah, blah, blah. Would you be willing to sponsor my build with a Holley EFI kit, the whole kit? And I would put your Instagram and YouTube on the car. So I have never met you. I have never talked to you before. And the third sentence, you're asking me to just give you thousands of dollars worth of products. And this is actually really important. Thousands of dollars of another company's product. Why would I do that?
Why?
What could I possibly get in return for that? If you're gonna ask a business to sponsor you, at least ask for the products of the business that you're asking about. This example here would basically be like me going into McDonald's and asking for a sponsorship and asking them to give me Pizza Hut pizzas. It doesn't really make any sense. Actually, let's go back up to the blah, blah, blah. A boosted Firebird. The picture my brain paints on what and I quote, a boosted Firebird looks like isn't really ideal. This goes back to the proper proposal. You need to give very specific details here on what this is and a ton of professional grade photos. Is this a Katrina flooded vehicle with the sloppy mechanics turbo kit, or is this a $500,000 Pro Mod? I literally have no way to know other than to just jump to conclusions here. You definitely don't want me to jump to conclusions, because I'm only physically capable of assuming the worst about literally everything, unfortunately. Okay, so in exchange for thousands of dollars of my money, I get 2 stickers on this car that are of my social media garbage and not even of my actual businesses. That is going to LS Fest and, again, I quote, many other events. For those of you watching, would you hand over thousands of dollars for a car that is going to many more events? So back to the proposal, you better have a list of exactly every single event you're going to, what day you're leaving to get there, how long you're going to be there, how you plan to service the car in between that event and the next event, a breakdown of your expected expenses, how much you plan to spend on fuel, food, hotels, how many sets of spark plugs you're budgeting for the season, and everything else associated with this stuff. As this is currently written, what I'm picturing is you are casually using your vehicle to go have fun like every other person with a project car, and you're expecting somebody else to fund it. Sponsorships are business transactions. You're asking for a lot here, and you're giving back, based on what you wrote here, literally nothing in return. Many more events just doesn't cut it. Be overwhelmingly specific when you're talking about this type of stuff. I also just noticed that this message was sent at 4:18 a.m. and I'm just gonna leave that one alone. I'm working on my social media following, aren't we all? So normally I would say in your proposal you should link your social media accounts, but there were no links to anything here, so I clicked on the profile. This account has 130 followers and one photo of the car that's being talked about, and literally none of the other photos have anything to do, not even with this car, but with cars at all. So if your personal account isn't going to be of the car, then you really should consider having a separate page dedicated to the car, the races, the shows, all of the other stuff that you're planning on doing with the car. If you're going to ask for free stuff and all you are offering is stickers and social media traffic, your social media account should be treated as if they're job resumes, basically. I get the local car guys together on Friday nights. As far as getting the local car guys together on Friday nights, that is awesome, and it can be a lot of fun when done right. But considering that there's no photos, there's no mention of car counts, car types, where it's at, or literally anything, I just picture 4 dudes sitting in Burger King parking lot drinking 40s. My brain doesn't work like most normal people's, I get that, but don't give the potential sponsor the ability to even imagine anything. You need to both show them and tell them everything. I'm partnered with Team Midnight. I don't know what the hell Team Midnight is and why should I care? And I'm not saying that to be a jerk, I'm literally asking you to tell me why. Why should I care what Team Midnight is and that you're partnered with them? When I was in high school, there was a group of guys that actually called themselves Team Midnight, and honestly, seeing Team Midnight pop up onto my phone actually makes me want to throw it. So if you're partnered up with Team Midnight, that might be awesome. So tell me why that is awesome. Tell me why I should care. Again, don't give me the opportunity to think about those high school dipshits. We've had car featured on Street Outlaws. Which car? Is it this car? Why isn't there any photos of whatever car it is? Why isn't there any videos? Why isn't there any type of proof? What role did you have in this car? Was it your car? Was it your friend's car? Was it your cousin's sister's boyfriend's uncle's car and he doesn't even know your name? That could potentially be a very powerful thing if you actually had a car on that show. Like, be specific. I'm looking to get. What did he say? I'm looking to get this car on the show as well. Yeah, you and everybody else on the planet, man. You would be my first produce sponsor. Okay, this is just a grammar spelling error, but my stupid brain literally read this and pictured myself sitting in a produce stand on the side of the road selling corn and lettuce. And I wish I was joking, but I'm not. Something is wrong with me and my brain. That's my problem, not yours. But this does bring up a very important part of the sponsorship procedure. Again, back to the proper proposal you should be sending. You should probably pay somebody to write this proposal for you, or at the very least, you should send it to 76 different people to proofread it for you. As it sits right now, my viewpoint on this situation is that I'm going to give away several $1,000s of somebody else's product to get a couple stickers of my social media platforms, not my businesses, on a car that might make it to a few events, and I now sell potatoes on the side of the road. Not very appealing, right? So on top of the boosted Firebird, he is also asking about a nitrous bird. Another incredibly awesome visual in my head when I read this, by the way. I could promote you on that car. It's daily driven and gets a load of public view. So does the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to translate into any sales or any type of ROI on this transaction. Again, you have to be very specific on what you're kind of offering in return. Offering to put a sticker on a car is not very appealing to any business. To kind of further put that into perspective, this car is roughly 3,000 miles away from me and my business, which my business requires the car to come to me in order for me to work on it, aka to make any money with it. So how many cars are going to come from 3,000 miles away to me because they saw a daily driven nitrous bird driving down the road with my social media stickers on it? My guess would be exactly 0. When you're asking for a sponsorship, you need to be very, very precise about what you are giving in return for what you are asking for. And you better be giving significantly more than what you're asking for. Literally all of the risk of this transaction is on the sponsor, and no real business cares about getting new Instagram followers. I could buy 100,000 Instagram followers today for $12 if that's what I really cared about. A return on investment is what any business owner is after. If they give you $3,000 in stuff, just getting back $3,000 in return would be a very unintelligent gamble. If they give you $3,000 worth of stuff, you better figure out how to guarantee that you're gonna make them back $10,000 or more on their $3,000 investment. Every aspect of this needs to be treated like a business transaction. So with all of that being said, you need a proper PDF proposal that you email or even send through actual mail. The proposal needs to be professionally written with professional photos, and you need to be specific in what you are asking for. A pro tip, make sure what you're asking for is actually a product from the business that you're asking for the sponsorship from. You need to be overwhelmingly specific on exactly what events, races, shows you're planning to attend, and you need to be deadly precise on what your plan is to get the sponsor a strong ROI for taking such a big risk on you. Exposure is not ROI, unless maybe you're Cletus or something, but even then, that exposure is going to turn into sales. So you need to present it that way and write it that way and explain how this exposure is going to turn into sales. But you're gonna need a really, really big social media following in order to try and pull the exposure card. Odds are when you're at that point, you're not reaching out asking for sponsorships anymore. The sponsors are coming to you. Do not send a casually written message or even email. It just comes off as lazy, unprofessional, and that you're not willing to put in any effort. If the car is not finished and you have never had another car that you can kind of refer to or reference to as an example of what you plan to do, plan to promote, and what you're capable of doing, then it really just appears that you're asking for somebody to pay for you to build your car. It may be possible to get some help depending on the situation, but you really have nothing to offer at that point. How does the sponsor know that the car will ever actually even be finished, especially when it seems 90% of project cars get halfway finished and then parted out for pennies on the dollar before ever actually even running? Now, an exception to this might be if you have a YouTube channel that is like very specifically covering the build process of the car and the videos are getting several thousand views. And if that's the case, then show the analytics in your proposal and also send a link to the channel. That could potentially work out pretty well. So hopefully that wasn't too harsh. I swear on my life, I did this to try to help you guys out in landing some sponsorships. Anyways, that's it for me. If nothing else, hopefully you guys learned a few things on what not to do, and hopefully nobody takes this all personal and gets all mad at me or something. See you next time.